If your Moodle course is basically pages of text, PDF documents, and quizzes, then I've got something especially for you. It is H5P, and it can completely change what students experience. Now, what I'm going to show you is 10 H5P activities that you can use in Moodle, and I'll show you what each one is actually good for. Now, I'm not just going to show you what they are. I'll explain when I'd actually use them and how I put them into a real course as well. I've been building online courses for a long time, and these 10 H5P activities are things that I would use, and I hope that you would consider using them in your course as well. So let's jump first straight into activity number 1. And the first one we'll look at is course presentation. And the course presentation sort of looks a bit like a PowerPoint slide, as in you can just go across the slides like that, but there is more to it than that. It's great for doing things like steps 1, step 2, ordering tasks or things that are in an order. It's great for presenting them that way, but again, like I said, it's a bit more than that. So I'll just show you this first because I do want to show you how I'm rating each of these as well. With the H5P, I'm giving them 3 different ratings. One is the difficulty and how hard it is to set each one of the activities up. The second one is the engagement potential, how engaging it actually is for learners. And the third one is my pick as to whether I would recommend you use this one or not. And also explain a bit about why I use them, where I do use them, and how often as well in courses I'm creating. So this is the course presentation. Again, students can just cycle through them as well. When we look at it, we'll look at the rating. So for this one, the rating is definitely moderate because it is just putting in slides and adding in interactivity. Now, one bonus thing with this though is that you can add in things like interactive video, drag and drop, quiz questions, so it can become quite detailed and become a much bigger learning experience using a course presentation. So I would definitely give that moderate as my rating there. Engagement potential, it's moderate to high, so I would probably push that one to high actually, because it's not just clicking slides, it is what the experience that can happen inside that with interactive videos and all sorts of other interactive things that can go inside this course presentation. And the last one is my pick. So for this one, this is something I do use quite a bit. Now I'd put this up as, I'd give it 4 stars definitely. It's a great choice, recommended often, and I do use it often as well. So it's a course presentation. Interactive video is the next one. Now, interactive video, you can see here we've got a songwriting session. One of my daughters writes a lot of music and records a lot. And this is one of our songwriting sessions. And in here you can see we've converted this YouTube video into an interactive video. So when it gets to a certain point in the video, down here you'll see these little markers that appear. Those little markers there are where the video will stop when it gets there, and it'll pop up with whatever the interactive type is that we're using. So in this case, it's a question and says, how do you find a topic to write about for this session? There's a typo there, but family members, I think, is where we got our questions from for this one. And then you play the video through, it'll jump to the next one. When it gets there, it'll pause at the next one and ask you another question in relation to the content that's happening in the video. So this is really, really interactive in terms of being able to put questions and ask students about things in the context of what they're watching in the video. It's an absolutely fantastic interactive type to use. Last of all, you can also get it to jump between different sections. So in this case, we can jump to the end of the video, we continue on, or jump to different parts of the video as well. So there's lots of interactive type things that you can do there. So how would I rate this one? Well, setup I would put down as moderate because it could be easy in that you just put a video in, but then once you start putting in the interactive part of it, that can get a little bit more complex. So I'd put that down as moderate for setup. Engagement potential, I'll put that down as high because it is. And my recommendation is definitely 5 stars. It's something that you should make a lot of use of, and certainly can. I use it a lot, partly because it's so good to be able to put questions and context to information that people are talking about in their videos. So definitely worth one looking at is interactive video. Next one is branching scenarios. Branching scenarios are great. They are like a choose your own adventure type thing. Really useful for when you are asking students questions about things and they need to decide what they would do. And then you can give them feedback on whether that was the right choice or whether there was a better choice, or give them different options that have different results and different scenarios that happen as they go through it. So in this case, it's just the art of Europe, and they can flick through, proceed. You can ask you questions about things. and tell you whether you got that correct or not. And then, move on to the next area. So this is our branching scenario. How would I rate that? It's probably the most advanced. So I definitely put that down as advanced. Engagement potential is very high because it does allow students to make decisions and get feedback immediately and sort of have that choose your own adventure sort of discovery of learning. But I wouldn't give it 5 stars. I only give it 4 because the setup of this is complicated. It does take a while to learn how to use the interface to put the branching scenarios in. And a lot of the times I try to limit how many of these I put in a course just because they can take a long time to prepare and get ready and, sort of put all together. So that's where I put branching scenarios. Next one is interactive book. And the interactive book is exactly that. It's an interactive ebook, basically. In this case, I've just done a nice simple music book about some music theory, and you can just wander through the pages. And in the pages, you can have other interesting content. For example, I think I've got a YouTube video embedded in there as well, which is cool. You can put quizzes and other things in there. So there's a bit like the course presentation, you can put a lot of the other interactive components in there as well. So interactive book, how would I rate that? I'd say moderate because, again, it can be simple, but you can put in lots of the other interactive stuff in there. Engagement potential, I'd probably put it down as low. It's not something I use a lot. My recommendation, only 3 stars. Like I said, don't use this a lot, but one area it is really, really useful in is if you are creating content that you want to use across multiple courses, create an interactive book for just that content, and then you can put that interactive book in all your different courses and reuse that content. So it's great for content reuse, actually. Really, really useful. Right, number 5, drag and drop. Drag and drop is exactly that. It's drag and drop. So you drag over here, and let's get this correct because I don't want to embarrass myself with my lack of music knowledge. I just did a whole note and half note, didn't I? Switch that around. Here we go. 8th note. So it is just creating a diagram, drag and drop, and then click on check. Check your answers. And I didn't read through it properly, did I? I should have. At least we can retry. So that's a drag and drop activity. And I use that the most for labeling diagrams. So if you have things like body parts or well, you could use it for a guitar, I guess, talking music, but anything where there is a diagram or a chart or something where labeling stuff on there, could be car parts or a vehicle and labeling the different parts of the vehicle or any material, anything that's been created, take a photo, then you can go and label that and the students can drag and drop, even drag and drop into order as well, putting things in order. So there's a lot you can do with that. Its setup is probably easy, I would say, easy to moderate, maybe moderate, just because it's a little bit fiddly putting the drag and drop bits in and setting the settings to make it work. But engagement potential, I'd put that down as moderate as well. It's not fantastically engaging, but it does make the students stop and think. My recommendation, only 3 stars, drag and drop. I do actually use it quite a bit, but it's sort of an in-the-middle activity. Definitely worth using though, because it does have plenty of options and plenty of potential to really help with education, with learning. So number 6, interactive image. This one's an interesting one. This actually shows a park in Singapore from 2008 to 2011. So you can see the changes that have happened over time between that same location. Now, you can use this for all sorts of things. Probably one of the useful ones that I've seen or that I've used it for is things like anatomy, where you have the skin, then you can remove the skin and show underneath that where the organs sit, where that is in relation to the bone structure as well. So there's lots of potential for activities there. I don't use this one very often, but its setup is really easy. It really is just 2 images. Engagement potential is very low because really all they do is just drag it across. So that's okay. My recommendation, I'd give it 2 stars. I don't use it a lot, but it is a very specific activity and very useful as well. Let's jump to Accordion, number 7. Accordion is exactly that. It's an accordion. It does have one really great use, which I use for a lot. And I'll explain 2 areas that I use it in as well, which is important. But it really is just to put text in, to put some content in, and it sort of breaks up the topics or breaks up your content into smaller topics, which is great. It stops that big long scroll that can happen. You can see that there's quite a bit of content in there. And if I opened all of them, or if they were all opened at once, it would be quite a long page. So it does help concentrate the content down a little bit, but I often wouldn't use the H5P Accordion. I would use the Moodle or whatever platform you're in's own Accordion feature that runs in their pages instead, rather than creating it in H5P, only because you get to use a lot more features. You can add images, you can do all the other things that you would normally do in your content, whereas the Accordion is a bit limited. So what would I do for that? Setup, easy. Engagement potential, low. It's just, click open. And my recommendation, 2 stars for that one. Let's jump to number 8, the quiz. This is actually a collection of quiz questions. So it is a quiz, but it's multiple questions in the quiz that you can use. And I've used different question types as well, just to give an example of a few different ones. So if we just go check there, you can see that's just multiple choice. This is multiple choice with multiple answers. So we'll just take photography out of there. Then we've also got true, false questions, which you can use. You can put in numbers as well. And probably the last one there. There is a few more than this as well, but melody and rhythm and check. So you can do drag and drop in there. And you can do show solution. It'll show you what the correct answer is. So that's quiz. Now, the quiz, I think, is great because it's really, really useful to put at the end of a topic where you can then ask the students, you find out what they've actually learned out of it. It's it's self-assessment. It auto marks, so they can just go in and try it out and find out what they did or didn't learn. And then obviously you can tell them, you need to go back and look at these areas. If you got below a certain mark, I suggest you go back and look at previous topics, that sort of thing. So setup is moderate. It's not overly complicated. It's pretty good because it does have all the different question types. Engagement potential, I'm going to put that down as pretty high because it does make the student stop and think and test their learning. So it is really, really useful. Recommendation, I give it 4 stars. I use quizzes a lot because it does make it really helpful to check again how the students are going. All right, number 9 is the image hotspots. And image hotspots are pretty cool. It really is simple. It is a graphic or an image that you put in the background, and then you just add in all of the hotspots on top of that with additional information, which can have images in it. I think you can have videos in there too. I know you can definitely have images in there as well. So that's what a image hotspot looks like. I use them quite a bit because it helps to break up things like lists. Instead of having a list there, you can put in an image, put it into context a bit better, and then put the items on top of here as hotspots instead. For image hotspots, setup really, really easy. Engagement potential, I'll say it's low because really they're just clicking on spots to open up a little bit of content. It's not highly engaging, but it does make them think and give, again, a bit more context of what you're talking about, which is really good. So my recommendation, I'll give it 3 stars. Okay, timeline is our number 10. We're nearly at the end of our top 10. For this one, I've given you a list of recording types that happened over history. So we've got the gramophone, then we've got up to the vinyl record. You may remember compact cassettes. Okay, I'm talking about older people here. I remember all of this. I grew up in there. Well, actually, mine didn't come in until compact discs, but cassettes were my thing when I was younger. Then compact discs. Got MP3s, and obviously streaming happened as well. Number 10, the timeline. Anything to do with time, with history, you can put in there. You can even put in just a day's worth of activities that people are doing to explain some sort of concept in business. Any of that. You can put interactive stuff in there as well. So things like images can go in. For the timeline, I would put that down as moderate. It's a little bit fiddly to put together, but not too bad. The engagement potential, again, it's probably low to moderate because you can put videos in there and other things. I'd bring it up to moderate. In terms of my recommendation, I would give that 3 stars. It's not something I use a lot. It's a very specific type of activity, but it's fantastic to have. So there we go. We've been through each one of them, all 10, which is fantastic to get through. So the big question is, which ones should you use? Which ones do you want to use? Hopefully that's been a bit helpful and given you a bit of a guide. But if you're starting out with H5P, my absolute recommendation is make use of interactive video because it is a fantastic tool to use. Make sure you try out the course presentation and quizzes because they're sort of the 3 that I probably use the most out of all of them. Probably hotspots would be the 4th one. If I was going to sneak one extra one in there, it'd be hotspots. So hopefully that's been useful to you. What I'm going to do is go through and show you how to build each one of those. So if you want to like, subscribe, follow this channel, over the next few weeks, we'll start working our way through building each one of these activities, and you can see what it's like in action. And that will help you make a better decision as to what you should or could use and what's involved in getting them all set up. So I'm Chris Richter. I'll talk to you again very soon.